Yo, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Life Lessons and Conversations. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button so you can stay tuned for more content. Now, today's title of the video is I filed for divorce from my ex-wife after she broke my heart. Here's how I healed from anxiety and heartbreak. So I'm going to give you a little bit backstory about how I became the man I am today and how it may help you in whatever you may be going through in your life. Met my ex around the age of 22. I actually met her at a club, decided to approach her. Not in any kind of, disrespectful way. Got her number, we just started hooking up. Yes, in that way. Kind of off the break after the first date and everything. Me being young and 22 and infatuated with sex. She's also 10 years older than me. So when I met her, I was 22 and she had just turned 31 when we first met. I didn't think nothing of it. I'm just young, 22, young, dumb, and full of, yeah. For me, it's just, I'm just out here having fun, having a whole bunch of sex. Yeah, I didn't really think nothing of it. 2 months goes down the line after we meet. She's in a situation where she's trying to move out of her apartment. Her and her roommate aren't getting along. I'm in a situation where I'm still living in my mother's basement at 22 years old. I'm trying to get out of that situation. We foolishly ended up moving in together after knowing each other for 2 months. Oh, and did I mention one other thing? At the time that we met, she had a 3-year-old daughter. Yeah, you heard that right. Well, has a 3-year-old daughter. At the time, she was 3. She's much older now. So, yeah, we move in after knowing each other for 2 months. The relationship starts off very rocky. There's arguments here and there, but we still pursue through it, just really not having no kind of clue, no direction where this relationship is going. Fast forward, a year goes by. We still together. We move into another place, another apartment because we wasn't really feeling the location we were moving at, and we just moved to a nicer apartment just probably about 5 or 10 minutes away from the first place we lived at. And then things started to turn in a direction where I should have left the relationship. One day I was, we were both home and stuff, and she has a computer. She had a big Mac computer, one of those big 27-inch Mac computers. Get on the computer. I forget what I was doing. I was gonna go look at something online or whatever. And her Gmail so happened to just be open on the computer. She had her email open, and it was a reply from a dude that she had sent him naked pictures of herself. And I looked down the conversation. She initiated this email, the very first email. And she is literally sending from the neck down pictures of herself, but naked. So I confront her about this. And she's apologizing, this, that, and the third. She says she's sorry, she'd never do it again, blah, 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 blah. So unknown to her at the time, I had actually was talking to my grandfather and asked him to help me buy a ring for her to propose to her. I was 23 years old. I just green as hell. I didn't really know anything about women. I didn't really know what marriage and love was. I just, really me literally being in my first relationship. So I remember on Christmas Day, I proposed to her after us being together for probably about a year, maybe a year and a half total. Even after all that happened. And guess what she did? About a few days later, I go back on the computer again to look up something. What do I find in her that she leaves on her screen? Another email of her sending a different naked picture to the same guy. Now, me being naive, me being foolish, I should have left the relationship. I never even should have proposed to her. But at 23 years old, I was fearful kind of either one, going back to my mother's basement, my mother's house, because I never lived on my own, or two, going to go live on my own because I didn't really have any life skills. I didn't even know how to really take care of myself. In a way, I was a bit dependent on her because I was too afraid to live on my own. So I forgave her, foolishly forgave her. We continued with the relationship, and she volunteered to let me watch her delete all the emails, block the dude, this, that, and the third. And we just left it at that. Probably about a few months later, she comes to me and says, I need a bigger ring. Yeah, she said, I need a bigger ring. The ring that I had gotten for her with the help of my grandfather cost probably about $950, give or take. She wanted a bigger ring. We go to K Jewelers and we find the ring that she wants. This ring costs a little bit over $3,600. So what does my naive behind do? I apply for a K Jewelers credit card and I got her the bigger ring. And I start paying a $3,600 bill to pay down that ring because, she wants a bigger ring. I'm thinking happy wife, happy life. That's what we kind of grew up kind of doing, right? You know. Hmm, yeah. Yeah. So a few years goes down the line, we moved to a house that we're renting from, family friend and everything. Again, more arguments, more thing goes on. Relationship should have ended, but it continues. We move out of there to another apartment because of we just had a little situation with them. We moved to another apartment, and this time I'm kind of thinking to myself, we just came from a house to an apartment. We kind of moving backwards. So I'm like, what can we do to buy a house? So that way, next time we move to a house, it will actually be ours and not really paying rent and living in someone else's house. So, go to some first time home buyer seminars, and one thing led to another. We ended up buying a house. We moved into a house together, still engaged, still not married. I think at the time her daughter I think she was about 9 years old, going on 10. So shortly after we move into the house, she gets pregnant. I'm there doing the best I can to be supporting boyfriend, going out to Taco Bell 2 o'clock in the morning or McDonald's or whatever, or going to the 24-hour grocery store to get her some ice cream or something. Doing the most I can to go to the OBGYN appointments and finding out that we were having a boy. Try to do as much as I can to attend as many appointments as possible. I wasn't able to make it to all of them, but I think I probably did a good majority. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like 80%, something like that. I made to all her appointments. October 2016 comes around, and we have a boy. Healthy baby boy comes out, just was screaming, crying, and I became a father. And at that moment, I didn't realize that my life had really, really changed forever, becoming a father. At the time, I really didn't know what that meant because, um, in a way, I kind of felt like a father to her daughter because Her daughter's father had never been in the picture from day one, like even from birth. When I came into their lives, when her daughter was 3 years old, I'm kind of like the only male role model that she knows. But this time, it kind of felt different because I'm holding this child in my arms, this son that carries my DNA, and I know it feels different because this is my son, this is my child. I mean, he looks just like me. Even to this day, even I look at him now, and my baby pictures look just like him at his age when I took those same pictures. It's just crazy. Shortly after she gave birth to our son, during her paternity leave and stuff, she was kind of dreading going back to work. You know how it is for a lot of working moms. You're on paternity leave for like 6 weeks, and then after that, you kind of gotta. Most people can't afford to stay home. Take a child to daycare, childcare, or something. She was kind of upset that she had to go back to work and she had to give her child to someone else to raise, but we didn't have the luxury of her being able to stay at home and raise our son. She started to feel contempt from me because I did not make enough money for her to be a stay-at-home mom. I mean, think about it nowadays. A lot of men don't. For most normal people, it takes both people working and putting their incomes together to live a fairly decent lifestyle. Especially when you're talking about one kid and then a newborn coming into the picture. You know how much childcare costs? Oh my God. Whew. So she goes back to work. She starts to have postpartum depression. She's doing the best she can to pump milk out so we can have milk for our son. She's because she wants to breastfeed him and everything, and I get it. But she had a lot going on mentally. Part of that is because I don't think she had a good childhood growing up. Her dad wasn't really in her life like that. She doesn't really have a good relationship with her mom. So she has a lot of trauma that she never really healed from. I didn't really understand it. I didn't really recognize it. It's kind of dealt with it. I mean, in a way, I had my own things that I kind of grew up with as well. So as time goes on, she is on social media a lot more often. I think she started to compare her life to other women she saw online. She started feeling jealous and envious of other women who didn't have to work, or maybe they got all their bills paid, or maybe they were a stay at home mom, and she kind of aspired to have that same kind of lifestyle. And because she aspired to have that same kind of lifestyle, she started growing even more contempt for me because I could not give her that lifestyle. In addition to some of the arguments that we had here and there, sometimes there were physical altercations where she would put her hands on me. I never put my hands on her, otherwise I'd probably be in jail or something. I don't know. I just accepted all that, and the relationship just continued because I was kind of afraid to break it up. I didn't want to break it up. I mean, a few months later, after our son, probably about 3, 4 months after our son was born, we ended up finally getting married. It was one of those of, hey, we've been together for this long, we've been engaged for this long. We done everything that couples do together. Literally, we bought a house, we had a baby, we've been together for so many years. Why not just go get married? And that's kind of how it was. Like we literally just went down to the courthouse one day and just got married. No big ceremony. Really didn't even invite our family members. Foolishly enough on my part, I didn't invite my family members. She didn't invite her family members. Didn't even really get really dressed up or anything. We just kind of just did it just to get married and officially become a family. She changed her last name to mine. We just continued a relationship, but she still had this contempt that was spruing up in her that later became a real big issue. Probably about a year or so later, she just continued this thing about, why don't you make enough money to pay all the bills? Her anxiety and depression started getting to her with work and stuff. She started smoking cigarettes. She started smoking weed, just finding things as a vice for her to deal with her stress and anxiety. She started gambling because there's a couple casinos within close to our house. And then she also had creditors coming after her legally because she owed them money. She ignored some court paperwork, and one thing led to another. And she started getting her wage garnished for creditors that she basically ignored. We each work. We're literally making about the same amount of money. We got a newborn child still in diapers and daycare. Her daughter is in middle school at this point. Her daughter's in elementary school at this point, about to go into middle school. We start struggling on the bills because I'm trying to do the best I can to make sure everything is paid on time. I did not make enough money to support a family of 4. I needed her help, her income to help pay for this family of 4. Rent's due on mortgage is due on the 1st. You got daycare bills, light bills, food, this, that, and the third. Diapers are expensive. She started getting a lot reckless with her money. Again, her wages were getting garnished. She was, started losing money at the casino, this, that, and the third. She really started blaming me for all those issues because, we started getting behind on the bills, literally having to get in a hardship loan from our 401k to get caught up on the mortgage so we don't get evicted or foreclosed on. Things started to get tight. This was 2018. One day she comes to me and says, I'm no longer having sex with you until you start paying all the bills solely on your own, because that's what a real man does. A real man is a provider. He pays all the bills. And I don't want to have sex with the man I have to pay bills with because that's a roommate, and I don't have sex with my roommate. Oh, my God. I'm thinking this woman's bluffing. Like, what? Like, you just expect me out of the blue to just start paying all the bills all on my own? And she never said that she was going to quit her job. She never said she was going to be a stay-at-home mother or anything like that. She just demanded, kind of gave me an ultimatum that I start paying all the bills on my own. I'm thinking to myself, I know how much these bills are. She knows good and well that I cannot afford to pay all these bills on my own because we both make about the same amount of money. We were both making about $70,000, give or take. I'm like, this is not going to work. This is going to lead down just a spiral of chaos and madness. But she didn't care. She kept on going with it. Like, literally would not give me any sex whatsoever. My birthday passes, no sex. A couple months later, she goes to rehab. Goes to rehab to help her stop smoking, help her stop smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana, and gambling. She's literally gone, gone. 30 days straight. She misses both kids' birthdays because she was at rehab. During that time, we were in the process of selling the house because we got behind on the mortgage again. We were facing foreclosure again. And I had already taken out one hardship loan to help catch up on a mortgage. She took out a hardship loan to help catch up on a mortgage a second time. This is before the whole you need to pay all the bills thing. And so here we are again, getting behind on the mortgage, facing foreclosure. So I tell this woman, like, we need to work together. I'm not paying any bills, but like we need to work together. We're about to get foreclosed on. She's like, no, let's just sell the house before we get foreclosed on. That way it doesn't affect our credit. I'm like, it'll be better if we just work together, try to pay these bills. What do you mean work together? I don't want to have to pay any bills. I told you that. You need to pay all these bills. You're the man. Be a real man. Man. Yeah, yeah. Oh, she's gone at rehab and stuff like that. I get a devastating loss in my family. My grandfather passes away. I was um, I was very, very close to my grandfather. Um, Not only did he help me get the ring, I lived with him for um, during my high school days and things like that. I was extremely close to my grandfather. He was the closest thing I had to a father because I grew up without my father. Um, I never met my father. Don't have a picture of him. Don't even know what it looks like. I mean, the closest thing I have is the name of my birth certificate because according to my mother, I was born as a result of rape. She could have deleted me. She could have gave me up for adoption or something, but she didn't. She gave birth to me, and in my early years, I was living with other family members until maybe about elementary school started. I started living with her. And then my high school years, I lived with my grandfather because I got tired of literally moving from address to address so much. So when my grandfather passed away, it hurt. It hurt a lot. I didn't have her, my ex-wife at the time. I didn't have her there at the house to help me. She was gone at rehab. So I'm at the house. My grandfather passed away. Her daughter's there. Our son is there. And we're trying to sell the house. Now, at this point, we're trying to sell the house, like literally like house hunters, where the house has to be pristine because we can get a phone call and from our realtor say, "Hey, somebody wants to come see the house in an hour. I need y'all to pack up and go somewhere else until we're done." I'm working full time, trying to keep the house in immaculate shape, take care of these two kids, and then I deal with the news of my grandfather passing. It was a lot. It was a lot, but I got through it. I got through it even after my grandfather's funeral and everything. She was able to get a short release to attend the funeral for that one day, but she had to go back to rehab afterwards. After all that, after those 30 days were up and she came back home, one of the first things she said to me, I remember vividly, one of the first things she said to me was, "Don't ask me for sex." She said, "Don't ask me for sex because you're still not paying all the bills. I told you I'm not having sex with you until you start paying all the bills. You need to find a place for us to live where you can afford solely on your own because I shouldn't have to pay any bills. I'm not your mother. I should not have to help you. I should not have to take care of you. That's your mother should be helping you. I'm not your mother. I'm your wife. You should be taking care of me. I should not have to pay any bills." After she came back from rehab, we ended up selling the house. We moved back into an apartment, paying rent again, and going from being homeowners to now being renters in an apartment again. But this time, this was different. All the years, all the arguments, all the everything that we kind of been through had kind of come to a chaotic turn. 2019 became the start of my anxiety and heartbreak. Yeah, about the start of 2019. So we moved into the apartment and a lot more arguing, a lot more cussing, a lot more disagreements. It came to the point where we're literally just two people in the same household with the kids and everything. She's still demanding that I pay all the bills by myself. She shouldn't have to pay any bills, blah, 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 blah. Like, she doesn't even want to pay for our son's daycare. She don't want to pay for any food or groceries. Anytime we go get any kind of food, she wants me to pay for everything. She wants me to be the sole provider. And again, she did not quit her job. She still had a job, full-time job. She never quit her job. Why? Because she knew that even if I was able to pay all the bills on my own, I damn sure didn't have any extra money for her to do whatever the hell she wanted to do with some money. I started to notice that she was coming home with some shopping bags sometimes. There were times where she would work late. She probably wouldn't come home till like 3 o'clock in the morning at times. I had a strong suspicion that she was cheating on me, but I had no way to prove it. As far as the no sex, it continued. I mean, I even went as far as to plan a date, like literally where I told her just get dressed, we going on a date. I got babysitter for the kids, we going out. We go out, we have dinner, we go to a LMA concert. Good time. I got reserved seats for us. This, that, and the third. Had an awesome time. Came back home. We started kissing. One thing led to another. She's like, "No, stop. I told you I'm not having sex with you until you start paying all these bills by yourself." I'm like, "I just took you out to that and third. Yeah, I had a good time, but I know about another week or two, you're gonna turn around and ask me for money. I shouldn't have to give a man money to help pay bills. I'm not your mother. So no, you're not getting any sex from me." And now at that point, that was kind of my last straw. I was I was checked out of the relationship at that point. But little did I know she had long and checked out of the relationship. Um, I was just foolishly trying to save it. So it came to the point where she didn't even want to be in the same bedroom with me. She stopped kissing me. She didn't even want me to see her get change her clothes. She would go into the bathroom, close the door to change her clothes. That's how bad it was. And we're doing the best that we can to not let our arguments and stuff happen in front of the kids, but sometimes it did. Actually, quite often it did. Not just in front of our son, but in front of her daughter, who's in middle school at this time. And yeah, things really didn't go that well. And here I am doing the best I can to try to just keep our family together without really realizing that we weren't really a family anymore. It was just slowly just breaking down. It's like we were in a boat. The boat's got filling up with water because there's holes in the boat. And I could see all the holes in the boat, but I cannot stop it from sinking. That's kind of how I felt. I started driving for Uber, trying to make some extra money. But she would resent me even for that because she was like, "Oh, I'm stuck at home with these kids while you're out working. I shouldn't have to suffer for this. It's not my fault that you're broke and you can't afford to pay all these bills by yourself." So it's like, damn if I do, damn if I don't. It became so bad that I started defaulting on my credit cards because I didn't have the money to pay them on time. Started getting behind on the rent. Rent's due on the first, late on the fifth. By the seventh, they putting that court paperwork on your door on the mailbox. By the ninth, they're charging you the court fees and everything, and you got your day in court because they're starting to evict you. That's just how they are. I'd always managed to pay the rent before they could evict us, but guess what? Cycle started all over again because by the time I had actually paid the rent, it would probably be like the 18th or the 20th. Boom, first comes all over again. It's like this never ending cycle. We were so late on the rent so many times that they said, "Hey, look, y'all been late for almost every month y'all been here. We are not allowing you to re-sign your lease." And also got behind on the utility bill, the light bill. We'll pay it 1 month, mix the next month, pay it 1 month, miss the next month. And then still had to pay for our son's daycare, pay for groceries. It got hard. It became so hard that one day I went to work and I go outside to take our son to daycare, and my car's gone. I got behind on some car payments and they towed my car. No, I mean, yes, they, told me, say, you getting behind, is that and the third, but I didn't I didn't suspect that they would tow my car, but they did. So when they towed my car, she's like, "Oh, you got to figure something out. You need to take care of that. I shouldn't have to help you. I'm not your mother. You need to figure it out." Yeah, she said that. Yeah, she'd said that. Yep. Yeah, she said that. She was like, "Oh," I was like, Can you take me to work?" She's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have to be inconvenienced because your car got towed. I have to go to work myself." But the day afterwards, she's like, "Okay, look, I'll take you to work, but you're gonna have to find a ride home because I shouldn't have to be inconvenienced of coming back to pick you up and come home." Because her job was kind of close to her house, and mine was probably about 30 minutes away. So she would begrudgingly wake up a little bit earlier so we could drop our son off to daycare. She would take me to work, and then I would have to find a coworker to drive me home. And I'd made some excuse about my car in the shop, this, that, and the third. After the third day, kind of broke down the truth to my coworker, said, "Hey, my car got towed, and would you mind taking me to the lot to go get so I can go get my car?" I kind of felt embarrassed by that because I'm like, my car got towed. I'm behind on my bills and stuff like that. I was embarrassed, man, because of the whole situation, because of my car getting towed and things like that. I was just embarrassed. I took out another hard loan from my 401k, and it was literally just enough for me to pay all the tow fees and everything, catch up on my car payments, and get my car back. So I get my car back. She's like, "Oh, I see you figured it out." I'm like, "Yeah, no thanks to you. You're supposed to be my wife. You're supposed to help me. You're supposed to be my helpmate." 1 month after my car got towed, I'm at work and I get a phone call. It's the leasing office. They say, "Hey, sir, we have the sheriff's department on the line for you." I'm like, "The sheriff's department? What's going on?" He says, "How you doing, sir? I have a notice here for your eviction." My heart drops to the floor. I literally fell out my chair while I was on the phone hearing that. He says, "I have a notice here for your eviction." And I tell you what, today's Friday. If you can pay this rent by Monday morning, I'll let this be and you can stay where you are. But if this rent is not paid by Monday morning, I'm gonna have to evict you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to evict you. I'm just so devastated at this point. My heart just sinks to the floor. I'm literally in my office at work. I got the door shut, and I'm literally on my floor crying because I'm like, we're at the point we're about to get evicted. I look at my bank account, and I thank God I had literally just gotten paid that day. But I look at my bank account, and it was just enough money in that bank account from 2 weeks of work, just enough money in there to pay off the rent with all the late fees and everything. But I knew if I paid the rent for 2 weeks, I did not have any more money left for our son's childcare, for the light bill, for food, for really anything else. So I call up my ex-wife. And I said, hey, we just got a call from the sheriff's department, from the rental office. They said they are going to evict us if we do not pay this rent by Monday morning. I can go down to the bank right now, get a certified check, and give it to the rental office right now. But I do not have enough money for us to buy any food, to pay for our son's daycare. I don't have any more money for anything else. This is it. I cannot keep this up any longer. I cannot keep up this foolishness any longer. I cannot afford to pay for these bills by myself. So she says, okay, fine. I will help pay some of these bills. But let me be very clear. When we get back on our feet, we need to get a divorce. I do not want to pay bills with the man because that is being with the roommate. And I do not want to be with a roommate. I want to be with a man who is a provider. Yeah, that hurt. That hurt a lot. Cause I was reduced to a wallet. That's all I was. Just a wallet. First I was a penis when the relationship started. Now I'm just a wallet. I have no value if I'm not paying for anything. I felt worthless if I wasn't paying all the bills. I felt like I didn't have any value at all. I felt like all my purpose was to just pay bills and take her shit. She continues to literally do whatever she feels like doing. Say she's working late, say she needs some me time, and again, be random days where she wouldn't come home till like 3 o'clock in the morning, even like a random Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. I'm at home with the kids, I'm cooking for them, and she would come home eat some of the food too. It was like a spiral, just spiraling out of control. Like I couldn't stop the madness. I couldn't stop the chaos. It was like it was the end was inevitable. I feel like I gave this woman my heart and she just kind of just threw it by the wayside. She stomped on it. There was no more love in the relationship anymore. Just arguments, fighting. She would throw stuff at me and belittle me and curse at me and call me out my name, this, that, and the third, and just didn't want anything to do with me. And one day she told me, she said, this marriage was the biggest mistake of my life. I want a divorce. I wish you would, sleep in our son's room because I don't even want to be in the same room with you. It was tough. It was tough because the woman who I said I loved many times, just she didn't love me anymore. She didn't want to be with me anymore. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what did I do to you? I never stepped out on this woman. I never entertained any other women. I'm just thinking like I'm being a stepfather to her child, to her daughter. Like what did I do to you? I wasn't the kind of man who she envisioned me to be. I wasn't the kind of man who she thought that she tried to transform me into. In a way, I wasn't really a man at all. I was a boy in an adult's body. I was a male, but not a man. Now, granted, I probably was about 30 years old at this time. I just turned 30. She's about to be 40, and here I am 30. She's just expecting so much from me. She's expecting perfection from me. She's expecting this lavish lifestyle where she can be one of these IG models and stunting on Instagram and this, that, and the third, and she just wants to be one of these women where she could brag about how she don't have to pay any bills and her man pays for everything, this, that, and the third, and she she has so much contempt for me because I could not give her that lifestyle because I was broke. I was broke. So we ended up separating. She moved to one address, I moved to another. She moved out first. I helped her move into her apartment. Like literally help move her stuff out of the apartment we shared together, her stuff and her daughter's stuff. I drive the U-Haul. I even called two of my coworkers to help her move into her apartment. Now, yes, she said thank you, but it was still kind of weird because I didn't really. I, I understood what it meant that she was moving into her own place without me being there, but I didn't realize that this is part of the devastation of a breakup, of a divorce. It was kind of the start of a divorce. So she moves out. About a month later, it's my turn to move out. Like I said, I helped her move out, but she doesn't want to help me at all. Matter of fact, I tell her, say, hey, can you keep our son while moving out? Like, oh, I got things to do. I gotta work. I'm like, really? Are you serious right now? As much as I did for you, you don't want to do for me in return. I shouldn't have to do anything for you. You got to figure it out on your own. Yeah, yeah. So I asked my mother to watch her son, and those same two coworkers, they were both busy. They couldn't help me out. I couldn't really find any other family members to help me. I couldn't afford to hire anybody. So I got a U-Haul truck and I literally started moving all of my stuff and some of our son's stuff out on my own from the top floor of an apartment down 3 flights of stairs, no elevator, 46 steps. I counted them the whole way, 46 steps. One way, up and down, 46 steps. I'm moving dressers. I'm moving TVs. I moved mattress, king size mattress, bed frame, boxes, a 2-seater couch. I literally put every single thing that was in the apartment that was left with my bare hands by myself down 3 flights of steps, thank God for gravity, into a U-Haul truck, except for one thing, one 3-seater couch. Because luckily one of the guys in another apartment in the building just happened to come out of his apartment and he saw me struggling with this couch by myself. And he was kind enough to help me put that couch in the U-Haul. But I was just so tired, so exhausted. I had never been that tired in my life. And at the same time I'm moving all this stuff out, I'm just dealing with so much sorrow inside because I'm moving out of this apartment on my own and then coming to grips that this relationship is done. This relationship is over. This is kind of all I knew, and it's falling apart, and there's nothing I can do about it except to just get out of this apartment because the lease was about to be up. As I was moving out of our apartment, I called my mother and I said, "Hey, can you please call someone to help me? I got everything in this U-Haul. I literally pushed everything down the stairs and pushed it into the U-Haul. But now I have to take it to my apartment and walk it up 1 flight of steps, 18 steps to move into this next apartment. I cannot do this by myself. I am exhausted. I need help. I need help tonight. If you can call someone to help me move into this apartment, please." My mother gets on the phone. She calls a few people, texts a few people, and my godmother and her husband, they come help me out. They help me take up all the heavy stuff, the couches and everything. They bring me some food, and I'm still extremely grateful for them to this day. Not just for that, but for a lot of other things. They've helped me in my life after that day, and even before that as well. You know, just thinking back all this, it still brings back the memories of all the pain that I went through, all the anxiety, all the heartbreak. It hurts so much when you're doing as much you can to pour your heart out to someone. You literally you hand them your heart, and they just drop it on the floor, step on it, stomp on it. It hurts when your heart gets broken, especially when you've done everything you could to please someone, but it just wasn't good enough. When you gave your best, when you gave everything, it didn't matter. But I remember when I moved into that apartment, there's boxes all over the place, stuff and chaos. You just moved in there day one. My mattress is on the floor, and I'm just so exhausted, so drained. I'm drenched in sweat. I'm drenched in sweat and exhaustion, and just I'm tired, and I'm still heartbroken, still in sorrow. And I remember laying on my mattress on the floor, and I'm thinking to myself, as I'm laying here heartbroken, I'm thinking to myself, I don't hear anything. It's quiet. And I take a deep breath and I said, for the first time in my life, I have peace. For the first time in a long time, I have peace. When I lay my head down, I have peace. I can finally lay in a bed, and the woman laying next to me does not have contempt for me. There is no one next to me that has contempt for me. I have peace. I have peace. For the first time in a long time, I understood what peace felt like when you came home. Your home is supposed to be your sanctuary, and it's not a sanctuary when you don't have peace in your home. When you have chaos, you don't have a sanctuary, you have hell. I finally had peace in my household, peace where I slept. And I slept so good that night. I didn't even take a shower. I was just so exhausted, but I slept so good because I had peace. And I woke up the next morning, sun come over my eyes, and I still had peace. And finally, I was able to freely think about what are the next steps in my life because I'm not surrounded with chaos. Finally, because I have peace, I'm able to deal with the things in my life that I need to take care of because I have peace. So my birthday comes around 2019, kind of celebrating with friends and family, still dealing with being separated from my ex. I tried started dating again. Ended up dating a coworker at work. We never really tried anything because she knew I was married, and I at the time respected my marriage. I didn't approach her or any other woman. But, we started dating. She would tell me how she kind of felt bad because even though my ex and I were separated, we were still legally married. Now, I didn't really understand what that meant because I'm like, well, we're separated. I'm not going back to that one because I have peace now. I'm not going back to that chaos. Hell no. But she was like, you're still married. It's still kind of weird, and I can't really truly date you because you're still technically married. It goes against my morals. It goes against my values because you're still married. Yes, you're separated, but you're still legally married until you get a divorce. It's I can't really be in a relationship with you. And we tried. We tried being in a relationship for like 3 months, but it still was in the back of her mind that I was still legally married. And we kind of broke it off. I tried dating again online. One of the first questions women would ask me is that, are you married? I told them the truth. I say yes, but I'm separated. Ghost. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Ghost. So I kind of learned the hard way that the only way for me to move forward in my life was to get this divorce. So one day I just stopped, just stopped dating, and I was like, I need to get a divorce, and if she's not going to file, then I have to because I need to move on with my life. I filed for divorce at the the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, something like that. I was kind enough to wait till after her birthday to have her serve with the paperwork. So serve her with the paperwork. We get a court date. Very first court date was about March of 2020. Guess what happens March of 2020? The world goes to hell. We all know what happened March 2020. World is in hell. Chaos is going on. We're shut down. Everybody's at home. Courts are shut down. Gets pushed back 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So during this time, I decided to use some of my health benefits and get some mental help. I started going to therapy. I sought out a therapist just to help me deal with everything, just to help me grasp out what was going on, how to get over that relationship, how to learn from that relationship, how to move forward from that relationship. It was very eye opening. It was very reflective just to be able to get through all of that, get through all that heartbreak, all the anxiety, and figure out what I can learn about myself from that. And also part of my therapy, and this probably had the most impact. I started writing, well, really typing on my computer. I typed out my entire story between my ex and I. Every single detail that I had in my brain, everything from the day that we met till that exact point, as I was writing it. Every little detail that I could possibly think of, because I had to get that pain, that anxiety, that heartbreak. I had to get it off of my heart and put it somewhere else, put it on paper, put it somewhere, because I realized that I did not have the ability to give my heart to anyone else if it's still tainted with the pain and the sorrow and the scars of my ex. So I'm just days, weeks go by. I'm just finding time to type. I feel like I was typing a biography or something. And I put everything in chronological order, going back and making edits for something I just remembered. But I did everything I could to get every single memory I could possibly think of and put it on paper. Because by doing that, it wasn't here. It wasn't in my heart anymore. It wasn't in my mind anymore. It was on paper. It was somewhere else. So after I finished typing all that, I kind of wrote a little reflective part about what did I learn about myself in that relationship. That relationship pretty much took up my entire 20s. when you're A lot of dudes are supposed to be having a whole phase or something. That relationship took my entire 20s, and I learned a lot about myself. I grew a lot. I matured a lot. I grew a lot of resilience. You know, they say what doesn't kill you make you stronger, and it did. That relationship, it broke me. It broke me down to the core. It's kind of like when you're working out, you literally have to tear your muscles, have to rip your muscles. But what happens in the process? They rebuild and they get stronger. So that way, when you go back to the gym, they can handle even more weight. And that process happens over and over again. Well, my heart muscles were broken, but over time I rebuilt that and became stronger. Not harder, but it became stronger. As my wisdom grew and my heart grew back, I had my maturity as well. And our very first court date came is June 2020. Of course, it's virtual, it's over the phone. It's kind of weird, honestly. You know, the judge tell us we need to go to mediation, we need to do these steps, and we need to come up with a separation agreement. And you also need to come up with a child custody agreement. I didn't know any of this stuff. I had never been through a divorce, never even been through a breakup. I didn't know any of this stuff. I was green out here like a lot of men are. A lot of men don't really understand what it means to go through family court, what it means to go through a divorce until they actually go through it. And 9 times out of 10, by the time that comes around, it's too late. Most men get screwed over in family court. But at that time, she wanted a divorce. She didn't know what I was doing on my end. I wanted the divorce. You know, I kind of thank God that we were able to amicably work that out without any lawyers. Her and I, we wrote the agreement. We came up with a separation plan. We came up with a custody schedule for our son. She was willing to go 50-50 on custody of our son. Now, what I did not know at the time that most women get full custody of the children in a breakup or divorce. I did not know this. I'm thinking that, okay, you know, we each have 50-50, that's fair. But most men don't get that. Most men end up becoming every other weekend dads. Maybe a Thursday night dinner, a couple weeks in the summer, and then have to pay child support out the ass for the next umpteenth years. At the time that we were getting this divorce, our son was turning 4. By the time we were getting this divorce, he was going on his 4th birthday. You know, we do the separation agreement, we do the property arrangement, we do the child custody agreement, we get it signed, we get it notarized, present it to the judge, they accept it, sign it, notarized. And beginning of October, I got the notification, got the paperwork in the mail that the divorce was final. The divorce was final, and I was a free man. I was free to go on about the rest of my life. Again, that brought so much peace over my heart. It brought so much peace to me because finally I had done the last steps that it took to separate myself from the chaos of dealing with her shit, separating myself from that chaos and finally having peace. And when you finally have peace after dealing with so much chaos, you just refuse to go back to that, especially after you've gotten some therapy, especially after you've gotten the mental help that you need to deal with that. I'm a strong proponent of therapy. It helps, and it helped build that self-awareness in me that I now carry, that I now cherish, and that I also recognize in other people because I have done the healing for myself. A lot of people don't bother to do healing when they have a breakup, especially a bad breakup, especially a divorce or a long-term relationship. You just kind of just deal with it in your own way, deal with it with your maybe your friends, maybe some family members. But it helps a lot when you deal with it with a professional, a mental health professional, a psychologist, psychiatrist. I try to stay away from social workers, but it helps. It really does. It really does. The day our divorce is final, I'd also have finished putting my story on paper. I didn't rip it up. I didn't delete it. I gave it to her. I printed out a copy, and I also gave her a digital copy on the thumb drive. One day after our divorce is final, I go to her house, her apartment that I moved her into to pick up our son so I could have my time with him. And at that time, I gave her the paperwork. I gave her that letter. I gave her that my story. And she's like, "What is this?" I was like, just read it. Just read it. It's closure for me. Closure that this is this is my story of our relationship from my perspective. Here, you read it. Maybe it'll help you. I don't know if it did. I don't know if it didn't. Kind of in a way I didn't care, but it was my closure from that relationship. Later on that day, she texts me, "This is a bunch of BS, this, that, and the third. This never really happened. You're full of crap. You're this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah." I ignored it because I had peace. A couple days goes by. She texts me and she says, can we talk about this? I'm like, talk about what? Can we talk about this what you gave me? I'm like, I don't have anything to talk about. I said what I had to say in that story. I gave you everything from my perspective. She said she kind of felt bad and she wanted to talk about it in person. So the next time it was my time to have our son. She wanted to drop him off to my apartment because she wanted to talk for a little bit. So she drops him off. You know, my son he's in the apartment playing, and you know we're talking at the door, and she starts breaking down crying because she really didn't realize all the hurt she put me through, all the pain she put me through, all the sorrow, all the anxiety and heartbreak that she put me through. She kind of she apologized, but I didn't need her apology. I had already forgiven her. Not for her, but for myself. I'd already forgiven her. And that forgiveness was the last piece to just release all of that off of my heart so I could find I could have the capacity in my heart to love someone else again. So after that I moved on. I started dating for real this time. And when someone asked me, "Are you married?" I did not have to lie. I could say no, I'm not. I'm not married. I'm divorced. I'm not married. And you know, some women They're like, yeah, he's divorced. Yeah, he probably has some kind of trauma. I don't want to deal with him, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, move on. Move on. Because a lot of people have trauma, whether they go through a marriage or not, whether you have a long term relationship or not. A lot of us have trauma from our freaking childhood. But the point is life goes on. Life goes on after divorce. Life goes on after a breakup. Life goes on after heartbreak. But life will always kind of stay still until you heal from your past relationships, your childhood trauma, your scars, anything that you have, because that will bleed over into your next relationship. After a divorce, fast forward a few years, a couple years, literally about 2 years or so, I end up in another relationship with another woman who's peaceful, who brings me joy, who brings me love, who brings me happiness, who brings me peace, tranquility, and everything. And, I know a lot of dudes who've kind of been through a divorce. They're like, oh, I'm never getting married again. I got burnt the first time. She took the house and my kids and this, that, and the third. And I mean, in a way, I was kind of blessed not to have to deal with some of that stuff. In a way, I'm kind of an anomaly. But I decided to get remarried again. I married someone else. I married somebody peaceful. I was able to find love again. It's the peace in my life that I've wanted to come home to someone where you're not arguing, you're not fighting, you're not doing any of that stuff because you've both kind of done your own work before you came together, before you found each other. It's hard for good people to find each other. I hope this helps. I hope that this story is inspired you to know that if you're able to if you've gone through something, if you dealt with any relationship trauma, if you've gotten a divorce, it's possible that your life can turn around. It's possible that you can find peace. You can find the love that you've longed for too. So that's my story. Thanks for watching Life Lesson and Conversations. Please hit the like button, leave a comment at the bottom. I'm sure some of y'all probably were in tears. I know I was when all this was going on. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ways to support the channel down below. I'll catch you on the next time. Peace.